Aunt Nell.
Boost Mobile is now sending experts nationwide to deliver and set up customers' new phones.
Wait, we're going on tour?
We're delivering and setting up customers' phones. It's not a tour.
Not with that attitude.
Introducing Store to Door. Switch and get a new device with expert setup and delivery.
Delivery available for select devices purchased at boostmobile.com.
This episode contains stories that include state violence, racism, and homophobia.
This is
Queer Roots and Roots.
Stories of where we come from
And how we move in the world today.
We are a group of people living in London.
We're gay or queer, and we're mostly men.
And some non-binary people who were raised as men.
We're all either migrants to the UK and are racialized as being from an ethnic minority.
ill. That's just a crappier way of saying global majority.
We all have different experiences and perspectives on the world. Some of us are racialized as black or brown.
Some as white.
Many of us have experienced racism and xenophobia.
Some of us are gay and some queer.
Some of us moved to the UK by ourselves.
And some are from an ancestral line that includes migrants.
We all,
every single one of us,
knows what it's like to be seen as other.
That is what brings us together.
We're part of a community project run by the Love Tank,
a not-for-profit community interest company that promotes health and well-being of underserved communities through education, capacity building, and research.
We wanted to make this podcast to tell our stories of crossing borders. Borders of nation-states, of gender and sexuality.
As a collective. We don't have a boss or a Beyonce. So, every episode of Queer Roots and Roots has a different host and a different set of voices from our group.
Our promise to you is that our podcast is gorgeous, fierce, super gay,
and revolutionary.
I'm Roberto. My pronouns are he, him. I'm hosting this episode, and it's about Re-invention. I needed to start from scratch. I had a relatively good job in Mexico. I was renting my own flat, but I wasn't really present. I was drinking a lot. I was constantly angry. I was really frustrated how things work in Mexico. There is a lot of racism, classism, and a lot of nepotism. For a while, I was like, if you can't fight it, join it. But it wasn't making me feel good. I had to leave. Sometimes I still feel guilty. Instead of facing those issues and trying to work on them in Mexico, I said, bye bitches. But I needed a big change. And I was lucky. I had the opportunity to get a UK visa, and I took it. My boyfriend at the time had a British passport, so I could get a visa through him. Being completely honest, I had no expectations on moving to the UK. I don't think it was definitely related to my HIV diagnosis. I was diagnosed in 2014, but I wasn't feeling stigmatized or depressed about it. The fact is that I moved here to London in January 2016. 7 years later, well, you can take the girl out of Mexico, but you can take Mexico out of the girl. I have my roots in Mexico, as well as my new roots in London. For my episode of Queer Roots and Roots, I've picked stories from Amar, Rob, and Asad from our collective. Amar and Asad grew up here in the UK, and Rob moved to London after growing up in Poland. I want to listen to their stories because I want to find out how their experiences have shaped their values and helped to create the people they are today. Amar, Rob, Asad, they have all had to find out who they are, and I guess that's what I was trying to do when I moved to the UK too. Of course, with my Mexican passport and my skin tone, I've been stopped and searched by border officials many times. American border officials are the worst. The British ones can be polite at least, but you never know if they're having a bad day. Arriving in the UK is intimidating. I remember I landed once in Heathrow and I was going through border control, and the border control officer was like, "Where's your partner? Is she with you?" And I was like, it's a he. It's not a she, it's a he. He's not with me right now, but yeah. And he continued just to use she. And I tried to stay calm and just handle it because, like, they have so much power. Growing up in Mexico, I just don't trust the police. And it's a story that makes me see how helpless they can make us feel. Even if they say something that is not right or not true, like the border guard who used the wrong pronouns for my boyfriend, it's their word against mine. Never gonna win. This is where Amar's story begins.
I'm Amar. I'm 28. My pronouns are, I'm on the he, him, today, them pipeline, yet another victim of the transdemic. And a fun fact about me is when I was at university, I co-directed an a cappella Bollywood choir that performed at the Novello Theatre.
Amar has a story about officers of the state, immigration officials, police. I want to listen to Amar tell their story.
It was a gorgeous sunny day in Peckham. Sometime in June 2022, I had dolled myself up to go out and get some little treats. I was wearing booty shorts, my ass looked great. I was wearing a sports bra, chain, trying out a high pony for the first time, and I think I rocked it. And I was marching off towards Rye Lane just to go to my favourite vintage shop. When I saw the call online, an immigration van had been spotted in Queen's Road, Peckham. 7 local people had bravely stood in the way to prevent it from leaving. But someone was being detained inside the van. I rushed to join to help, and by the time I arrived, there were maybe 50 people, all of us local, blocking the immigration van from leaving the cul-de-sac. There were maybe a dozen immigration enforcement officials standing by, not quite knowing what to do. It struck me that they were the most diverse group of people in terms of race that I could have imagined. They represented so many of the different communities that live within London. And here they were detaining someone in a van, ready to take them away. For the first 2 hours, the mood was jubilant. Gradually, the crowd swelled to about 150 people. We were chanting, we were singing, we were smoking. Someone was playing music. People would come and join for an hour and then leave to go work their shifts at nearby bars. Other people were messaging all the time. Do you still need people? We're on our way. We're coming from East London. We're coming from Tottenham. A real sense of community. As the hours passed, though, we became uneasy. Surely the crowd was too big. Surely now they had to let the man inside that van go. I think it must have been around 4 o'clock or 4:30 when a TSA van carrying reinforcement cops arrived. They forced their way through to the front by the immigration van. Earlier in the day, we'd heard them speaking on the radios and saying, "Is anyone coming?" and laughed as we heard the reply, "No one's coming." But this felt like a bad development. I saw them passing out white slips of paper, and it dawned on me, maybe they really did think that they could force through this crowd of 150 people. Maybe they really were that determined to wrench someone out of their community. Britain is the only country in Europe that indefinitely detains migrants. We didn't know if they took this person, whether they would simply have a Home Office interview and be allowed to leave home, or more likely, whether they would languish in a detention centre or in Home Office temporary accommodation until such time as their deportation was attempted. It was a shock when the police began to get violent. There were too many of us, we thought. Surely we were strong. We'd shown them. South London had shown up. But the police are there for one reason, and they do enjoy doing their jobs. Behind the van, a couple of people, a lot of them women, had been leading the chants and talking, and the police began laying into them. As they marched towards us, suddenly it dawned on me. I screamed, "Lock arms." All of us at the front locked arms. The last thing I saw before the cops barreled into us was a pride badge on the shoulder of one of them. What a wonderful world and country to be experiencing true gay liberation just before being the recipient of state violence for attempting to stop the deportation of another human in our community.
That story of the police officer wearing the pride badge makes me feel angry. There is a new report recently, an inquiry that found the Metropolitan Police in London are misogynist, racist, and homophobic. I'm sorry, is that breaking news? Look at what happened with the Brazilian man Jean-Charles de Menezes. Police suspected him as a suicide bomber. They pursued him and stopped him entering the tube. He was shot and killed. But Jean-Charles was innocent. The senior officer who authorized that action became the commissioner, the boss of the Metropolitan Police. Or look what happened when they ignored the grinder killer in Bow for too long. Plus all the actions against women, it's an institution. They've been misogynist, racist, homophobic, and violent forever. Now they wear a rainbow badge while they are doing this to us? They want to be in pride. They want to be friendly. But what are they doing to make our community safe? They just want to be in the Tesco and Pepperami Pray Parade? Whatever. More actions and less talk.
The police were brutal. My friend was punched in the face repeatedly. She was bleeding everywhere and crying. I didn't even notice until I saw the footage later that I'd been punched multiple times in the face too. We were gradually forced to the ground, clinging onto each other as the cops, determined to bring someone in, tried to take people from behind our lines, and we clung onto them for dear life. I don't know how long the scuffle lasted, but gradually a silence developed. I was forced on the ground, a police officer's knee on my back. It could have been seconds, it could have been minutes. Someone started chanting, "When I say people, you say power. People." And the scream came from all of us. Power. We weren't going to let them do this. And we knew then they'd fucked it. They thought they could get through us. They thought they could scare us, but they were wrong. It didn't matter how many cops with pride badges there were. It didn't matter how conditioned so many of us had been to respect law and order. This was real community. Eventually, the man was let out of the van. After we'd celebrated, after we'd gone to the pub, I walked back past a cul-de-sac on my way home. 2 kids, maybe 9 or 10 in trackies, were chilling by the road. "Hey you," one of them said to me, and I bristled slightly. Dressing like I do, looking like I do, I'm used to kids chatting shit to me in the street. The kid paused for a minute and then said, "We saw what you did. Thank you for doing that for us." I wanted to cry. We talk a lot sometimes about queer community as something distinct and separate from everyone else, as if queer community is just about going to gay bars or just about talking through when we first knew, our relationships with our parents, our various traumas. But queer community is also about who we choose as part of our community. It's not just that the number of people resisting that raid at the front, for some reason, disproportionately seemed to read as queer, just to me at least. It's that we knew what it felt like to have our community brutalised by the state, and we were determined not to let that happen to anyone else either. When I hear stories of Marsha P. Johnson, Sylvia Rivera, Stonewall, that's what I imagine it must have been like a little bit. Because the far right and the government and the state are not just coming for us now. So we can't fight alone either.
Amar's message, we cannot fight alone. It's important. And community, it's important. I think maybe in the past, I didn't know that. When I was in Mexico, I started hanging out with people who had higher social status than me, lots of family wealth, and I started to believe it for myself. I thought that my value came from the people around me, but I wasn't really one of them. I moved to London and I remember working in a cool restaurant called Rita's. I called my friends in Mexico and I told them it was the restaurant where Harry Styles and FK Twigs ate. It was very cool. And I said to my friend, babe, I shouldn't be working here. I should be eating here. I mean, I think about it and it, like, honestly, like, makes me feel so cringe. I had to deconstruct myself. I used what it was around me, like Grindr and Scruff, to hook up, but also to connect with new people, to start my new community, Slut. I started to find friends, lovers, queer siblings, and I met people doing voluntary work with HIV and LGBTQ plus organizations. Shout out to the Love Tank. I guess I had to come down to earth. It was a process of grounding and growth. That's how I found my community. Oh, fuck, this feels like a therapy session. And it's not a therapy session without some coming out stories. I want to listen to Asad and Rob's.
I'm Robert. My pronouns are he, him when out of drag. And when I'm in drag, my pronouns are she, her. And my drag persona is called Polka Dot. I'm 32 and fun fact, as I already said, I'm a drag queen.
I'm Asad, I'm 25, my pronouns are he, him, and my fun fact is I'm a clairvoyant.
And I probably need explanation what that is.
So a clairvoyant, basically somebody who is very in touch with the spirit realm and the spirits, and who basically gets told things.
Oh, wow. Like a medium.
Basically a medium, yeah, like a psychic medium. Yeah, it's something I don't talk about to many people very often. It's basically my family and my very close friends who know this.
Wow.
And some random people who I'm compelled to tell things
and
to.
people that listen to this podcast.
Yeah, now everyone knows. Yes, yeah. That's great. Love that for me.
Amazing.
I know they both found it difficult at first to know who they are, to be accepted, and to find their queer families.
Tell me your coming out story, if you don't mind.
With me, I came out during the pandemic when I think I just turned 22. Yeah, I just turned 22, but I came out to my closest friends, so like 3 of my closest girlfriends, because I was getting pressure applied from a cousin of mine to come out. And long story short, that cousin basically blackmailed me, and then I had to tell my whole family before she did. So I sat I've got 3 older sisters, so I sat one of my sisters and my mum down, because I live with my mum. I did at the time, and told them, and then instantly it was as if I'd passed away. They burst out crying as if they were mourning my death or something, and I was just there, didn't know how to react. I did giggle, which wasn't the best thing to do because I was just in shock. I didn't know what to do, and it was really, really difficult because then one family member told another family member, another family told another family member, and I was told to basically not tell anybody, live my life in private, in secret, still marry a woman, and live my secret life, and it all spiraled from there really. And then I just had enough and decided to just do me. Coming out for me never really stopped. Like for me, even a week ago, I had a conversation with a family member, asserting more boundaries, and that actually had to do with my nails, that I would never take them off to conform to what other people want. So yeah, coming out has never really stopped. But one thing it's taught me is to be as unapologetically me that I can be. And I'm very privileged to be in a country where it's somewhat safe to do so, because not everybody else has that privilege or that right where they feel as free to be able to do that and to be safe doing that. And for me, again, it wasn't as simple as just, oh, I'm gay. It's, oh, I'm gay. I like men. I also like wearing dresses. I also like expressing myself very feminine some days. And some days I don't even like the word mask, but very masculine, conventionally masculine some days. And it's just about knowing that I can be whoever the fuck I want to be, whatever day I want to be.
That's been 3 years ago, more or less, or?
I think so, and it's wild to think that. I think it has been 3 years.
And how's the situation now? Like your parents, do they accept you, respect you, or is it a taboo still?
It's still extremely taboo because I'm Pakistani, I'm Muslim, and like I still go to the mosque. I've not relinquished any parts of my identity that I grew up with because it feels right to me, and I know that I can be Muslim and be gay, and that the two aren't mutually exclusive. My parents are in their mid-60s, so they moved here. I've only recently realised my mum moved here when she was about 10, and my dad moved here when he was about 13.
Knock, knock.
Ooh, who's there?
A Boost Mobile expert, here to deliver and set up your all-new iPhone 17 Pro, designed to be the most powerful iPhone ever.
You call that a knock-knock joke?
This isn't a joke. Boost Mobile really sends experts to deliver and set up your phone at home or work.
Okay, well, it's just that when people say knock-knock, there's usually a joke to go with it.
Like I said, this isn't a joke.
So the knock-knock was just you knocking?
Yeah, that's how doors work.
Get the new iPhone 17 Pro delivered and set up by an expert wherever you are. Delivery available for select devices purchased at boostmobile.com. Terms apply.
But they've not really moved with the times, so they moved here, never really explored, never really got out there, and they're still stuck in the mindset of Pakistanis who were raised in Pakistan under like the thumb of their parents. It's a generational thing. So for them to see their son not be what they expected, it was very, very tough for them. It's still very tough for them. So yeah, like it's been 3 years. I don't speak to any of my siblings. I don't really have a relationship with any of their children, which is tough. But again, that's because I'm so different to the norm of what they expect. And that's okay. It's not because it's frustrating. I wish people could understand that it's about the human being inside and how people express themselves, and who they love doesn't hurt you. So why are you so mad? Why are you pressed? But again, you can't change people's perceptions overnight. And it's about knowing that you can live your life without needing anyone else's acceptance. But again, for me, while coming out, self-love's been a big thing. I've learned to actually love myself and not want that acceptance or need it or crave it from others, and just do me regardless. Like, it's tough that you lose people, but you learn to love yourself in the process.
I'm so proud of you, even though I don't know you yet that much, but it's great to hear something like that from a young person like yourself, you know, to already know that you don't need anyone's approval. So yeah, that's something, you know, that myself, it took me a while to understand, and I was always seeking approval, and it came with time. So I'm really proud of you, and I wanted to acknowledge you for that.
Oh,
because
thank you so much.
It's great to realize that earlier in life, because you don't waste your time, you know.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate that. And how was it for you?
Well, for me, when you said that you feel privileged that you live in a country that, you know, you can come out and you know that you're protected. In contrary to where I am from, I'm Polish, and in Poland, unfortunately, homophobia is not prosecuted. So it's quite publicly normalized to be homophobic, and because people know that there is no repercussion when they are. So I came out around 10 years ago in front of my mom, firstly, as my closest family. Prior to that, it was my closest best friends. So there was 4 of them, and I came out, oh my God, when was it? 2000, probably I don't remember, 10? Something like that. And I was around 20, and then So I was about to finish my bachelor's in Krakow, and I decided I want to do a gap year. And I want to move from Poland somewhere else. Prior to that, I did Erasmus exchange in Cyprus, and that was the first time that I could kind of feel free to be myself, because no one knew me there. Only my close friend of that time went with me, and she knew that I'm gay. So that was the first time that I could just be myself, and I loved it so much that when I came back, to finish my studies, and I had to come back to this, shells of myself and hiding, I was like, no, this is no longer working. So I decided I'm gonna do a gap year and I'm gonna go somewhere. I decided I'm gonna come to the UK. And before I moved, I was like, okay, so it'll be good to kind of tell my mom that I'm gay as well, right? And that was a safe way to do it, because I thought if she doesn't accept me, at least I am leaving anyway,
Exactly, yeah.
It sounds a bit selfish, but at the same time, it was to protect myself. Because when I was still living with her, I had stories of my friends who were kicked out from their homes. So I was like, you know what, I'm just gonna do the safe bit and just tell her before I leave. She didn't take it very nicely on the beginning. Loads of denial, I would say. The first thing she said is like, I'm gonna pray for you to change, because my background is Catholic. So I had to explain like, well, thank you for your prayers. I mean, great, but I probably will not change, because this is not a choice. And so it took her a while to come to terms with that. And there were two things that she said on the beginning that were like, wow, this is who I deal with, and not even like my mom, but I use my mom as an example of the societal lack of education, because the first thing that she said is like, oh, so you're a pedophile. I was like, no,
oh, wow.
I'm not, But she said it with like a poker face, like that's a normal thing to say, And that comes from, in Polish, pedał, which is fagot. It's very similar to pedophile, pedophile in Polish. So pedał, pedophile, it sounds very similar in Polish. So people sometimes mix those two together. And because there's lack of, education, sexual education, we don't have such thing in Poland. People do, go to whatever they heard from their childhood or like in their closest environment. So that was the first question of my mom. And second question was like, okay, so you're gonna die of AIDS? I was like, no, I'm not gonna die of AIDS. But again, like I approached it with a very loving approach, because I knew that this is not her trying to, poke me in any way. It was just her trying to understand her son, And she didn't have the knowledge. So I took, that on, and I was okay, I'm going to try to, in a loving way, educate my mom. And, 10 years on, and she's my biggest fan now. So
I love that.
It's obviously a work that we need to, we can undertake, because I always say that this is not my responsibility to educate anyone.
100%.
But if I do have power and strength, and I am happy to invest that time, go for it, So I said, okay, that's my mom. I love her to bits, so I will do that. And that's what I did. Then I moved to the UK. And there is a story. I was supposed to be here only for 1 year gap year, and I stayed ever since.
Oh,
and a week ago, I celebrated my 10th year, and I got British citizenship.
Oh, congratulations.
Yeah. Thank you.
Oh, wow, that's amazing.
She's British Polish now.
Oh, we love to see it. Oh my gosh. I actually just realized I know a bit of Polish.
Oh, do you?
So I can say jak się masz?
Jest dobrze.
Dobrze. Or like you can reply bardzo dobrze.
Bardzo dobrze. Yeah. Very good.
And then also I think thank you is dziękuję. Did I pronounce that properly?
Yes, very well.
I knew it.
I mean,
my pronunciation
could be Polish.
Exactly, right?
Shall we switch to Polish? No, możemy mówić po polsku, jakbyś chciał teraz, nie?
Yeah, sure. No. I wish. Has your mum seen you in drag?
Not in person. She has seen me performing online during pandemic, as we did, and she's seen some videos of me, pictures. I sometimes call them in full drag, but she has never seen me face to face, as in like in person. So again, on the beginning, it was a bit difficult for my mom to understand. Again, like she was worried, which is a wrong way to say, but she was worried that I may change sex, and I say worried because for her it was worry. But even, and that's how I reacted. I was like, Mom, even if I'm still your son, I may be a daughter, but I still love you and nothing will change about me. And she's like, okay. But it's reassuring that you're not going to change. So that's good.
I've had that exact same conversation with my parents. I've had that exact same conversation when I started dabbling in like gender expression, wanting to wear, for example, like leather trousers or a dress or like a leathery type dress, because I just love looking like a bad bitch. What my family got confused with was, they got confused that I'm dressing as a woman. So do I want to transition into a woman? And I went, no. How I express my gender and express myself and my identity is a different thing, and that I'm very comfortable as a cis man. But that's just how I express myself. But again, even if I did want to, if I realised that I was trans, etc., that there's nothing wrong with that. Again, they had the exact same experience. That okay, we understand that you're gay, that we can somewhat grasp, but there's other things that we can't grasp. Like they don't understand what the term queer means. I've not met somebody who had similar experience when it comes to that with their parent. One thing I'm really intrigued by is the fact that you do drag. I also have realised that I like expressing my gender in certain ways when it comes to wearing dresses. And during the pandemic, as cheesy as this sounds, that's when I discovered RuPaul's Drag Race. And that's when I actually realised drag was a thing. Because again, growing up in East London in a Muslim family, I was so shut off from everything. Giving an example, the first time I saw a gay relationship on TV develop, or even just a gay relationship period, was Saeed and Christian's storyline in EastEnders, which is a British soap. And I was a child when I saw that. And when I saw that, I was just really mesmerised that, oh, this is a thing, this can happen, this is allowed, this is kind of how I feel. But then my parents would switch the channel and be like, oh, this is disgusting, shame, shame, shame. So how does performing and doing drag make you feel?
It's a process, I would definitely say that. And it is a window to explore yourself. What do I mean by that is that I remember the first time I bought tits and I put them on and I was like so mesmerized by looking in the mirror. I was like, wow, this is me. And this is like the tits on me, crazy. But then that could have the potential of like shaking up my gender identity as well, right? Because up until that point, I was identifying as cis male. And when I started doing drag, I started to question that. I was like, okay, so maybe I'm not necessarily just male, but maybe there is some fluidity to it. So maybe I'm non-binary, you know? Still, my pronouns are he, she, they, whatever rocks the boat, as long as it's used with respect, I'm fine with that. When I'm in drag, I prefer she. When I'm out of drag, he or they. And that would never happen probably, or happened very late in my life without drag, you know? So drag was that speedy shortcut to exploring my sexuality, my gender expression, whatsoever. And I realized that I'm gender fluid.
Oh, I love that for you.
How about you? Because I've noticed that you usually wear nails.
I know.
How that really happened?
How it started was, so I started working in the sexual health sector in June it'll be 2 years. Wow, that's crazy. 2 years ago. And it's literally through my amazing team that I work with, I saw expression through them. But again, I was living at home, living with my parents. So I remember I bought my first set of nail polish from Amazon. And I painted my nails. And as soon as my mum saw, she burst out crying. She was very, very upset. But then I had to bring up that I used to paint my nails with my sister's polish when I was in, not nursery, I was in like reception or year one. So I was about 6 years old or 7 years old. And I'd go to school wearing nail polish and teachers would complain. And then my mum would take it off when I got home. But I'd keep doing it. This was a repressed memory that I remembered. And I mentioned to my mum, I used to do it when I was a kid. And now I'm a grown man, I'm an adult, I can make my own decisions, think for myself. And I'm doing it now because I like it and it brings me joy. My mum was bursting into my bedroom every morning with cotton wool nail polish remover every day for about 6 weeks until I said to her, I'm not going to be taking it off. If anything, you're pushing me further. Then I started experimenting with more colours and I felt really good. And also getting creepy, like weird looks on the train and getting stares from people. At the start, it used to make me feel really uncomfortable because it was me going back into that shell of, oh, I'm different. Oh no, these things that make me happy make others like look at me with disgust. But then somehow I flipped the narrative and I felt really powerful all of a sudden that, wow, my mere existence disgusts you. I love that for me. I make you feel uncomfortable just by existing. I will love it because I'm doing nothing wrong. I'm being me. And if that riles somebody else up, that's their personal problem. That's their issue. You recently got your British citizenship.
Correct.
Again, congratulations.
Thank you so much.
I wanted to ask you how does it feel being a queer migrant living in London?
It's a complex question, believe it or not, because I'm 32, so I spent 1/3 of my life pretty much in the UK. So it had major impact on how I express, how I feel, how I identify. And people sometimes ask me, well, when I wanted to apply for the British citizenship, oh, so you are so proud to be Polish, but yet you're applying for British citizenship? I was like, well, yes, because, I spent here 10 years. That's a big chunk of my life. And in the UK, I felt the safety and I felt that I'm under umbrella of being protected to explore myself, to be myself. And I had the freedom to be authentically myself, pretty much. And I'm so much grateful for that, for living in the UK and for being safe here. And just the fact that I can, at the end of the day, also become legally British and like contribute to the society as I already did, But now I can even vote. And this is my place that I call home as well. So I want to contribute. So far, I'm contributing with my drag show, which is called Slav for You. And I am always saying I'm proud to be Polish, queer, and proud. That's what I need to probably tattoo on my body at some point. But I'm now also proud to be British.
Just hearing that that you feel free. Do you feel accepted?
100% here.
Really?
Yeah, completely. And I will continue to be proud Polish because, one of the biggest diasporas here in the UK is Polish diaspora. So I want to make those people also proud to be living here. Loads of people, escaped Poland just like myself for the search of freedom and for the search of respect, and we've chosen this place, but we don't forget where we come from. So I want to celebrate that, and I want to show that, yes, you can be British, you can be Polish, and you can be whatever the fuck you want to be. Period. And just be proud and just live your life to the fullest. Don't harm anyone and you'll be just fine.
That's amazing. And the amount of visibility you'll be bringing to like your community and what that will do for others is going to be, it's going to have such a domino effect. Yeah. Oh, it's so weird meeting you for the first time and just hearing so much. This is so lovely. We love to see it.
Well, come to my drag show and will see the culture.
I will. Let me know when it's next on. I will be there.
Amazing.
It's cool that they didn't really know each other before talking like that. And they have that connection of being fabulous and femme when they feel like it. I love to hear how they reinvented themselves. Rob said he feels safe in the UK. It makes me wonder if I do. I guess I feel relatively safe. Not safer than in Mexico. With everything I said earlier about the police, and Mexico is one of the most violent countries in the world. When I speak to my friends in Mexico, they talk as if London is this amazing place. And I don't want to be negative Nancy, but the truth is I've been called names and shit more in London than in Mexico. About being queer, not being white, it's not easy to feel at home. And legally, well, I have indefinite leave to remain. I can apply for my British passport, but it's 1,300. I haven't applied because I'm broke. I wonder how many others there are like me. Latinos are a growing community in the UK. And now with the recent changes to visa requirements, for people from Colombia or Peru, I'm sure the community will grow even more. At the moment, there is 250,000 Latin Americans are registered, but the estimate is that it's more like 400,000. A lot of people come here on Spanish or Italian passports, so they don't count as Latinos. So the resources for our community aren't matching our numbers. And resources are important. It's what I'm trying to do with my work now. When I moved here, I needed to start from scratch. But really, there's no such thing. I'm carrying the experiences from my past and everything that gave me a solid earth to start with. I started Número de Serie in 2018, focusing on the Latin American community in London. The work is all about HIV prevention and raising awareness for sexual health. I focus on making campaigns for the Latin American community around these issues. I also have an online store with designers and artworks selling garments and items. But it's hard. I quit my job in November 22 to focus on Número de Serie, and now I'm broke. I need to hustle. I might go back to Rita's, my friend's restaurant, which I love and gives me cash. I need to cover my basic needs, then try to sort capital for Número de Serie. Maybe I'm starting from scratch again. No. I'm just always building, one thing on top of the other. I am applying for grants. I am talking to potential partners. I am in the process of formalizing Número de Serie. I want to register as a community interest company. And I am developing my 2-year program, Constant Re-invention. Today, I feel thankful for my community. I'm Roberto Tovar. My organization is Número de Serie, that partners with artists and designers to improve awareness on HIV and sexual health. Thank you for listening to my episode of Queer Roots and Roots, stories of where we come from and how we move in the world today. I want people to know there are resources and organizations that can help you to report a hate crime, or even something about the police. There is a charity called Gallop, which is the UK's LGBT plus anti-abuse charity, GALOP. They have a website and a helpline where you can call to get advice and support. Y bueno, ahora en español. Es importante que la gente que nos escucha sepa que hay organizaciones que pueden apoyarte a reportar un crimen de odio o discriminación, incluso si es relacionado con la policía. Existe una organización llamada Gallop que apoya a la comunidad LGBT en temas de abuso. Su sitio lo pueden encontrar en la descripción y ahí van a poder encontrar las diferentes maneras de contactarlos y recibir apoyo.
Queer Roots and Roots is produced for the Love Tank by Aunt Nell. Produced and edited and engineered by Tash Walker and Adam Zmith. The assistant producers are Saaqib Afzal, José Carlos Mejia, Amardeep Singh Dhillon, Chase Edwards, Stanley Iyanu, and Rad Konieczny. Music by Edoy. Creative design and artwork by Richard Kahoji. Recorded at Pirate Studios in Dalston and Hackney, Wick, East London. Executive producers Mark Thompson and Dale Taylor-Gentles. That's me.
Here's how to stay alive longer so you can enjoy Boost Mobile's unlimited plan with a price that never goes up. Do not mistake a wasp nest for a piñata. Stay alive and switch now at Boost Mobile. After 30 gigs, customers may experience slower speeds. Customers will pay $25 a month as long as they remain active on the Boost Mobile Unlimited plan.